Here's to whiskey kisses, the peaty taste of sin.
Greetings, whiskey folk. Welcome back to Drinking Out Loud, where I am joined by the one and only Taryn to go through a fantastic new little range of whiskies.
Very excited.
Yeah. So these are all being featured in one way or another, and we'll explain as we go. But they, from what I understand, they are an early arrival. One or two cases of each of them arrived here in BC, and I pinched them. I don't know that I was supposed to. They might have been for something else, especially as the price is really good. This may be a one-time only pricing offer. I'm not sure. But from what I understand, these will be launching fully later this year over here in BC. They've been launched in the UK for a while now.
Of course.
And it's a brand that we're quite familiar with here at the Strath, because it's a brand that we've done several special tastings of, and that is Boutiquey, that Boutiquey Whiskey Company, which I'm a big fan of, and Taryn's apparently never had before, despite us having several in the store. So we're going to put that right today in good fashion. So that Boutiquey Whiskey Company, if you're not familiar with them, they're a really interesting independent bottler that buy whiskey from not just Scotland, but all over the world, and bottle it, usually close to 50% alcohol, not necessarily as a single cask, sometimes as a small vatting of casks. So they're a little bit different. They're also different in the way they present their whiskies, because they are 500ml bottles usually, and they have really interesting comic book style artwork, such as this is their Penderyn, which has a hand drawing a column still. This is their Whitlaw, which is a Highland Park, which just has a picture of all of the team of Highland Park sitting in an old ruined abbey for some reason. And this is their Jura, which is this adorable creature, terrifying, which is a reference to Orwell's 1984. Because he wrote that on the Isle of Jura. So there's usually clues on their labels as to what the whiskey is and where it's from. So even if they can't tell you exactly the distillery, you can usually figure it out. And if you can't, they leave little clues as well. Actually, one of the best value for money whiskies in our whole store right now is a Boutiquey Mystery Speyside, which in their tasting notes they say, you won't just Glen like it, you'll Glen love it.
Gee, I wonder.
I know, right? It's really good. So yeah, that's what Boutiquey normally looks like. And I had a really interesting big the other one, Zoom meeting late last year with the guys that own Boutiquey, Atom Brands, alongside several other representatives from liquor stores across the country that have carried their brands here in BC and Alberta, and their import agents, and they were looking for feedback and showing us some of their other products as well, because they don't just do Boutiquey. In fact, about to do a video of one of their other things as well, which is really interesting, and I haven't tried yet. But they were looking for feedback, and I don't know how influential that meeting was, but I feel like the feedback we gave is probably feedback that we're getting from lots of other people. 500ml bottles, pain in the ass, really hard to judge the value, especially because you have to do math, and people don't like doing math in liquor stores, we find, which is why we post the prices with and without tax on our things, so you don't have to do the math. And that, the pricing was a little bit iffy, and the consistency was kind of strange as well. So they came out with what they're calling the Boutiquey Core range, or Core Offerings, or Core Expression, Core something, and it's really cool. They have out-Boutiquey'd themselves, I think. First of all, 700ml bottles, full-size bottles, European standard size bottles, which is cool. And it's a core range of 5 whiskies. We have all of them right now, and we're releasing them all. We're tasting them all in this video, and I could not be more excited about this. This is such a cool little range of whiskies. Starting off with an 8-year-old Islay. So, mystery distillery. We don't know where it is, which means it's probably Caol Ila, let's face it. That's the vast majority of mystery malts from Islay tend to be Caol Ilas. It's got this beautiful illustration of a what do you call a baby deer? Fawn. Yeah, that sounds right. A Bambi. Bambi. Beautiful illustration of a Bambi with an Islay ear tag, and it has an age statement. It's 8 years old. It's a single malt Scotch whiskey from Islay that's 8 years old, bottled at 45.8, so a nice slightly higher proof. almost exactly the proof where you don't need to chill filter it anymore. I wonder if that is part of the equation. Probably says non-chill filtered on here somewhere, and if it doesn't, I'm just going to assume. It does have a bit of a blurb. Welcome to the wonderful world of That Boutique Whiskey Company, award-winning independent bottler of whiskies from across the globe. What you hold in your hands is one of our core offerings, a consistently available everyday dram to be savoured and shared just as you please. This finger-licking, melt-in-your-mouth whiskey from, and then it's got like a blank section where you write in this thing, so it's probably the same on all the bottles. I hope it is. Yeah, it is. Nice. Isla will draw you in with bonfire smoke, gently reveal peach and apricot before leaving you with salty sea breeze and lingering peat. Never chill filtered, always natural colour. Nice. And they have a QR code, and we all know how to use those now, thanks to the pandemic. So they've got a QR code. Yeah, I can't. I love the design. I love the branding they're going with here in the core range. Should we try it?
Yes.
All right. I think the tag team worked before. Let's
Okay, do it again.
Team Unbottling. Nice. Get some glassware. How's the cork smell? It's always a good
Peaty.
test. Peaty? Yeah, you're not traditionally a big peat fan, are you?
I am not.
No.
I
think
like a good balanced peat.
Perfect.
Nothing overpowering.
I think the first time you actually liked a peated whiskey was our Ardmore, wasn't
That's
it?
true. That is the first actual whiskey I liked.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, nice. All right, so Slanchavar, let's see how you go with this probably quite punchy little Isla.
That's punchy.
That is quite punchy.
That's a lot.
Smells like... Actually, I'm not sold anymore on my assumption that this is a Kalila, because it smells more like a Bunnahabhain on the nose. It's got that... We had a Bunnahabhain at the Outturn last month called Mind Those Chili Fingers. It's got that sort of spicy kind of nose to it. Often I think of mustard. But it's kind of meaty. It's got like a beefy thing. It's like roast beef with mustard. Yeah, definitely very coastal, very Isla-esque on the nose. Let's see what the palate brings us. Oh yeah, very salty. Ashy and fruity. It's like someone rolled a damp peach in a bonfire remnant.
Yeah, exactly. And like a little bit of chocolate almost on the finish.
Yeah, it's not overly smoky on the palate. It's more ashy, right?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I don't mind it.
Nice.
It's not too much.
For a peated whiskey, that is about the best I've ever heard Karen talk about one. So I think, yeah, we're doing well.
Respect boutique.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've just realised our viewers on YouTube are going to know how many tastings I recorded in one afternoon by the ridiculous sweater I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll be seeing this a lot. Sorry.
It's a good sweater, though.
It is, thanks. It was only $5.
Oh my god.
I know, right? Dots around the corner.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dots.
Respect to Dots.
Shout out Dots.
Yeah, that's real good. That is as good, if not better, than the other Mystery Isla malts that are quite similar in the market right now.
Okay.
Things like Port Ascaig or Smokehead, or those kind of things. And it's a lot less money than pretty much any of them. Which is kind of cool. So how can you try this? Well, this is our free dram this month in store at the Dram Association. You can just swing by almost any time you like, so long as it's not peak. Please don't visit us at like 5:30 on a Friday evening expecting 5-star premium service, and we might be a little busy. We'll happily try our best to pour things for you at that point, but you might have to wait until the lineup's gone, and But please feel free to come down whenever you can and come and try this for absolute free. All you have to do is say, I'm a Dram Association member and I'd like to try That Boutique Whiskey Company. Or you don't even have to remember what it is. You say, I'm a Dram Association member, please give me the free whiskey. Yes. And that'll usually work. So at the time this video is uploaded, this will be available in store and will be available for about a month. Come try it and see what you like. Regular price. And remember, this is not a standard 500ml boutique bottle. This is a full-size real bottle. $98.17. I know, which means with your 10% discount, because this is a featured whiskey, and every Dram Association member, you don't have to be a Strath Premium member to get 10% off on this. Although if you want 10% off on everything in the store, Strath Premium is your friend.
Yes.
But yeah, you can get 10% off on this right now. $88.35 for an 8-year-old Isla single malt.
Bonkers.
Yeah. It really, really, with the adorable fawn.
Yeah.
All right?
Look at
Isn't
his
that cool?
face.
All right, so That is the first of the new lineup of boutiques. There. Let's see what's next, shall we? Because there's a little bit of a theme going, and this next bottle is about to reveal that. This is a 12-year-old single malt Scotch from Speyside. Yeah. And judging by the colour, I'm going to guess maybe sherry cask.
Perhaps.
Maybe, I mean, probably both.
I sure hope so.
I know, right? So, this, again, we don't know which distillery. It's somewhere in Speyside, and that's a much harder game to guess because there's so many. It really could be any of them. We'll have a taste, and we'll see if it has anything particularly telling. What are the blanks filled in here? This is a melt-in-your-mouth whiskey from Speyside. It will draw you with honey-soaked dates. So yeah, that sounds like a sherry cask. Chocolate orange. Ooh, Terry's chocolate orange.
Yum.
One of my favourite ads in back home in the UK. Do you know Dawn French, comedian from the UK?
No.
She played the Vicar of Dibley. Very funny woman. She did an ad for Terry's chocolate orange where she's just like shoving it down her face and she's like, "It's not Terry's, it's mine."
Oh my god.
Love it. Before leaving you with savoury spice and sweet dry fruits. Yeah, that sounds pretty damn sherry casky, doesn't it? Again,
Yes.
45.8. All right. Should we do it the way around this time?
I guess.
You hold the bottle, I'll delid it.
Okay.
Nice.
I would
I love
like
a little splosh. You want me to pour?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't trust myself.
There we go. All right, so a mystery 12-year-old Speyside. Again, probably sherry cask, judging from their official tasting notes. Let's see. That smells pretty sherry casky.
Yeah, big time.
Smells actually really familiar. It smells quite a lot like the Darkness, which, funnily enough, is another brand from Atom Brands,
Interesting.
which has now been discontinued. The
Oh.
Darkness has now been replaced by something about worm tubs.
Okay.
The worm tub whiskey, I
Worm Tub
think.
Club?
The worm tub club. Well, you joined the worm tub club. That was an SNWS, wasn't it? Yeah,
yes.
nice. Oh yeah. Total beautiful peppered figs and dates. That is
Yeah.
classic.
Ooh.
Classic sherry cask Speyside. Tastes, I think the official bottling that I think this tastes the most similar to, I think, is the Ben Riach 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
I trust you.
That was just on first impression, though. It'll
Yeah.
probably change the next time I take a sip.
Perhaps.
But what do I find this time? What if I was to guess blind what this is? Ooh. It's a little Glenfarclas that time.
Okay.
Just goes to show when you use sherry cask, the sherry cask does a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good, though.
It's
I
so
don't
good.
think it's a worm tubby whiskey. I don't think it's like a Craig Gallagher or something, but I mean, it could be, but it feels a little bit softer than that. It's not as big and meaty as a big worm tubby thing. That's very pleasant.
I very much enjoy that.
That's your favorite of the two so far?
So far, yeah.
All right, well, let's see.
It's not really a fair fight.
I know, right? So how do you get to taste this one? Because this can't also be the free whiskey, can it? No. You can try this one, or maybe you can't, because by the time this video is already up, the tasting's already over. But you should have come to the brand new whiskey showcase, because this is where this whiskey was featured. And if you want to come to the next brand new whiskey showcase, you can. The date has already been set. It is Thursday, April 21st, and you can come to the next one. Brand new whiskey showcase is our new mostly monthly. It's not going to be every month, but it'll be most months, where we come together as a club and just explore what's new, what's interesting. It'll be a mix of some things that are already on the shelf and a mix of some things that are being released at the tasting, such as these boutiques, which aren't actually available on the shelf before that tasting. That's kind of the launch of the whole lineup. In fact, the drop-in drams are actually going to launch on that same day, which is kind of cool. Yeah, but because it is a featured whiskey, even if you didn't manage to come to the tasting, you can still get 10% off. And in fact, even if you can't make it to our store, the discount works online. So anywhere across Canada, if you want to pick up this, regular price is $110.35, which means at 10% off, it's less than $100, $99.32. Words cannot do justice to how good value this range is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop here. Like I said, there's 5 of these, and we're only 2 in.
Just
and
wait.
It's already
Just
incredible. Let's see what happens next. So we've had an 8, we've had a 12. Let's step it up a bit, shall we?
Why not?
Let's head on over to the 18-year-old. And this, have you noticed that our little fawn's all grown up?
I know.
Right?
It's
Gone
so
from
good.
adolescence into an adult. I just love this artwork. So yeah, the little air tag this time says Highland Peated, aged 18. So this is another peaty one.
Mm-hmm.
Highland peat is usually a little softer. Judging from the color, I'm thinking it's probably gone back to ex-bourbon casks, but darker because it's older. There might be some sherry influence. Let's find out. The back of the label this time says it's whiskey from the Highlands. It will draw charred pineapple and gently reveal chocolate and old oak before leaving you with roasted almonds and chimney smoke.
Okay.
So it's a Highland distillery that peats.
Hmm.
Wonder which one. Because several of my favorites fit into that category.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can pick it. I mean, I don't. No one's gonna confirm or deny anyway. So.
Yeah.
Ooh. It smells familiar to me. Let's see. Oh, this is so cool. I can't get over how awesome this little series of whiskies is. And this is the one that I thought we weren't going to get as well. Because the other 4 all released at the same time in the warehouse. And I ordered all of them as well. We have the only existing bottles in the province right now, until probably later this year. And this one came in a week later. For a moment, I thought we were only going to get 4 of the 5. I'm really glad it came through. Oh, yeah. Tropically charred pineapple, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lovely herbal thing going on, too. Thyme?
Yeah. Something kind of savory.
And almost like a teriyaki. Like
Totally.
that sweet soy kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is lovely. It's not overly smoky. No? It reminds me of the Ardmore, but not as oaky.
Oh, the Ardmore.
I know, right? It's not as concentrated, it's not as oaky. It reminds me specifically of the Gordon MacPhail other Ardmore, not our single cask. I think I've got it behind there somewhere. There's they're like what do they call it? Their distillery labels.
That one, yeah.
The distillery labels series where it actually says Ardmore in big letters on it. It reminds me of that one. All right. Well, 18-year-old single malt. We're pretty lucky, aren't we? This is a second 18-year-old single malt we've drank together today.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Ashy, soft.
Soft, very soft.
Yeah. Yeah, a little more tropical and herbal than the Isla. It does feel like an evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly.
It's very nice. I don't mind the peat.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that is lovely. The peat's well integrated. There's some nice sort of complex, well-aged whiskey notes going on in there that's not overtaken by wood. They've definitely been kind to the spirit by giving it old wood, like reused casks that aren't going to overpower it. That's if they can just keep making these whiskies at this quality and at close to these prices, they're onto a winner here. This is a stunning lineup.
Big time.
And I think other independent bottlers are moving into this direction of having a core lineup. I know the ones that look like the Elements of Isla series. I've learned today that they're actually not doing those single casks at all anymore. They've got a core range and they're doing some limited editions. And I think a lot of companies are spinning towards that because it's hard to get a consistent big variety of whiskies, but people expect somewhat consistency from a company. So I think this is good. But to that end, I don't think Boutique is in any danger of not doing the other things that they do. And they do them very well. In fact, there's one more hidden boutique that I'll probably release at next month's tasting, because there's one that I haven't released from their old range, which is extra special, and I've been waiting for an extra special tasting. Maybe we'll do that. And it'll be one of the oldest whiskeys we've ever released, actually. I know. But yeah, this is pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. How much is this one?
Good question. This one, regular price. Oh, and also, yeah, where can you try it? Because this is the premium whiskey in the Drop-In Drams this month.
Nice.
So you can come and try this whiskey. What should we say? $4? That
Sure.
sounds about right. $4. You can come in and try this. Give us $4, and you will get a half-ounce sample of this, which is a really good deal, especially compared to bar prices. And
Yeah.
you know, we don't have the most comfortable seats. In fact, we don't have any seats.
0.
But it's really nice to walk around the store and drink a dram of whiskey. $4, or if you're a Strath Premium member, it's included in your subscription price, and that's $16 a month. So hey, get your money's worth. Come and down and try. And it is 10% off again. $186.87. Yep. Which means it's $168.18.
For an 18-year-old whiskey.
For an 18-year-old whiskey, $168.18. Pretty wild, eh?
Nuts.
All right, so where does it go from here? We've had Islay, we've had Speyside, we've had Highlands.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, there's one big chunk of Scotland missing.
Yes.
And it's a chunk of Scotland that's known for making a completely different style of whiskey. Maybe we can pump up the age a bit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
so.
it's gradually getting older. I think
Yeah.
it's only fair that we have a 30-year-old blended grain whiskey. Look at it. It's a really old
It's older
stag.
than me.
It is older than you. Oh, that's wild. So this melt-in-your-mouth whiskey from Scotland, so not necessarily Lowlands, there are some Highland grain distilleries as well, will draw you in with buttery pastry, gently revealed chocolate, and cedar before leaving you with vanilla and butterscotch. Never chill-filtered, always natural colour.
That sounds so good.
Right? Yeah. That's not
The suspense.
So blended grain is a particularly interesting style of whiskey. It is the rarest of all styles of Scotch whiskey.
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
So there's, of course, single malt, single grain,
Yes.
blended malt,
Yes.
blended grain,
Mhm.
and blended Scotch. And of
Yes.
those 5, it's by far the rarest. Do you know the first one ever made?
No.
It's the Hedonism by Compass Box, which
Oh.
has just been discontinued.
It has.
So get Hedonism while you can.
Yeah.
And it's probably got something to do with the fact that the gentleman that created Hedonism in the year 2000, John Glazer, has just left the company. He's retired from Compass Box. So, yeah, Hedonism is going away. And I love that whiskey. So let's see if this 30-year-old blended grain is a good replacement. This is silly. So this is one that we're going to be enjoying tomorrow at the tasting, or in the past by the time this video goes out, at the brand new whiskey showcase.
Cool.
And I'm really looking forward to trying this, because I love blended grains. I love Hedonism. I've loved every blended grain I've tried so far from Scotland. I think it's a really interesting category that is often overlooked.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to see this coming.
No. Caramel, vanilla, butterscotch, like it said. Just classic Scottish grain whiskey. If I was to hazard a guess, I think there's both corn and wheat whiskies in here, and that's the two most common grains that are used in grain whiskey. By law, it has to be at least 5% malted barley as well.
Okay.
So there is malted barley in grain whiskies, because fermentation has to happen. It has to have the enzymes. Because you're not allowed to use additional, like, artificial enzymes in Scotland. Oh, big, luscious, sort of coconut notes coming in from that ex-bourbon cask. I assume ex-bourbon, looking at the colour. It has to be. Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. It's it tastes like what are they called? So I did a taste test yesterday by accident, because I had a board game evening, and I had a giant bag of Cadbury's mini eggs, and someone else brought a different brand of mini eggs.
Oh.
Hershey's. Tastes like Hershey's mini eggs.
I totally see that. It's so soft.
Oh yeah, it's delicate. It's sweet. It's gorgeous. It's such a different style of whiskey compared to the melts that are part of this series.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad that we've got companies out there like Boutique who are willing to buck the trend, buck the trend, and do things like this. Like so many just stick to what is tried and true and what they know. Although blended grain whiskey, since hedonism has taken off a little bit, some other companies have done it. And I found even Famous Grouse did one for a short period. I think called the White Grouse. I think that was a blended grain. It was I think it was an airport exclusive.
Interesting.
But yeah, very very few and far between.
Our dear friend looks so haggard.
So, yeah, it's. I have a soft spot in my heart for old, haggard, sort of fed up looking animals, and that is about as old and fed up as I've ever seen a herbivore.
He's so sweet.
Don't try and pet it though.
No.
He will take your hand off.
Yeah.
All right, so we've gone from a crazy range of prices from $98 to I'll do the sale right. $88 to $99 to $168. How much is a 30-year-old grain going to set you back? Well, that's one of the weird things about grain whiskey is because it doesn't have that panache of single malt. It's and it being blended as well. It's pretty good value. I would say this is pretty good value. Would you say it's pretty good value?
Yeah.
Regular price, $173
For a 30-year-old
whiskey. Which means that the sale price is $156.45.
For a 30-year-old whiskey.
Which makes it about $5 a year.
Oh my god.
It's unbelievable. Like, we just did a video of what I think is one of the greatest mistakes that we've taken advantage of pricing recently. I'll tell you about it right now. It's an 18-year-old Deveron, and if you haven't seen that video yet, click on the video. I'll put a link at the end of this one. Awesome whiskey, ridiculous price. This is even better value somehow than that. Maybe. I'm not sure, actually. They're neck and neck. That Deveron's fantastic.
It is.
But holy crap, $156 for a 30-year-old Scotch?
I'll take a case.
A full-size bottle? We've only got two, I think, so you can't take a whole case.
God.
Or you can, but you get staff discount.
You got me there.
Oh, actually, shout out. We are currently hiring, I believe.
Yes.
So if you do want to work for us, drop off a resume, because our staff discount is pretty good.
Yes.
All right. So, 4 of the 5. Where do we go from here? Now, I just realized what the next obvious answer is with Boutique and with this, and it's a little macabre. Like, there should be just a gravestone and have a closed distillery. They didn't go that direction. They went something in classic Boutique left turn. They put on the handbrake, skidded around a corner, and came up with this. It's a moose! It's a moose! This is a Canadian whiskey! It's a sherry cask 8-year-old Canadian corn whiskey. Because why the hell not?
Exactly.
Right? Oh, Canada. So, yeah, this whiskey is from Canada, and we'll draw you in with fruity pastry, gently reveal maple syrup. Will it, or are they just playing on the whole Canada thing?
We'll see.
Sherried oak, before leaving you with ginger and brown sugar.
Wow. Sounds like my kind of whiskey.
I love that moose.
He's so good.
This is brilliant. Oh no, I screwed up the lid.
Oh my
Whatever will I do? I'll have to tear into it like a barbarian. Oh,
Whoa.
took the whole thing off.
Not its scarf.
It's necklace now. It's scarfless, it's hatless. That means it's coming home with me. That's how I denote my bottles actually here. Anything behind me that doesn't have a hat and scarf means it's actually mine. Lovely. Sorry, I stole the thunder there.
That's okay.
We're running out of space.
We are.
All right. Amazing. Let's see what Boutique has done with a Canadian whiskey. So I've had Boutique whiskeys from all over the world, but I've never had a Boutique Canadian. I've had Swiss whiskey from Boutique. We've had Penderyn's from Wales. We've had Welsh whiskey. We've had Irish whiskey from Boutique. I've had Israeli whiskey from Boutique, from Milk and Honey. Yeah, I mean, they will bottle from anywhere that makes whiskey. They are actually the first independent bottler I know of that bottled the whiskey I used to help make in Australia, Bakery Hill. They did a whole series of Australian single malts. So they're not afraid to bottle anyone, pretty much. They bottled, I think it was like 89 of the classic single malts. They've bottled almost everyone in Scotland at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a nose. Nice. So Canadian corn whiskey. Funny, right? Because most people think of Canadian whiskey, think of rye.
Mhm.
But the vast majority of Canadian whiskey is actually corn. And the reason that we think of as rye is because we do things differently to the Americans up here in Canada. We distill everything separately and then blend after the fact. So if you're going to get a single cask or a small batch, corn whiskey is easier to get because that is what the vast majority of whiskey distilled in Canada is made of. And they add the rye in at the end. And when you do it that way around, instead of making a mash bill like they do in the States, the rye flavor comes through more prominently. So you can have a whiskey that's only 5% rye, where you can taste the rye still, which is kind of cool. So all of your big name brands here in Canada, your Crown Royal, your Canadian Club, your Wisers, they're all going to be corn. The one big exception is, of course, Alberta Premium, which is 100% rye. Yeah. So this is probably from one of those distilleries. And like I guess probably the distilleries that sell to other companies, even though often don't admit it, would be the Hiram Walker or the Canadian Mist distilleries out in Ontario. They're most likely what we're dealing with here. It does taste a bit like the Canadian Club Sherry cask, I'll tell you.
I haven't tried that yet.
Maybe we should have put it in the tasting. We'll put it next month, maybe. It is good. 15-year-old Canadian Club Sherry cask. Excellent whiskey.
This is delightful.
Isn't it?
It's so good.
Yeah, it makes you proud to be Canadian. I actually have submitted my citizenship. Did I tell you?
Congrats.
Yeah. It's
That's so exciting.
I hear back soon.
Yay.
Whether they'll have me or not.
I hope they will.
Yeah. Ginger, sherry. It has that zesty. It feels like a rye whiskey, even though there's no rye, right?
A little bit.
Yeah. It's very familiar to the Canadian style. That's nice. Have to admit, not my favorite of the lineup.
Fair.
But I'm hard pressed to choose a favorite. On some days, this might well be my favorite, and that's the beautiful thing about whiskey is you don't have to make your mind up and stick to your guns. You can change your mind every day of the week, every minute of the hour. You can have a different favorite. But yeah, it doesn't have to be my favorite though, because it's also the least expensive, which makes sense being a corn whiskey and being Canadian. But it doesn't make sense that this is only $74.70. Again, you can try this, or you might have been able to try this at our new whiskey showcase. Yeah, 10% off, $67.23.
That's insane.
Yeah, and all of these are 45.8% ABV, all the same ABV, all the same size, all the same treatment, no color, no chill filtration. I just love the way they look. It's so cool. All right.
Amazing.
Aren't they? Thank you for joining us, Taryn. Thank you for joining us at home. Yeah. If you want more content like this in your YouTube future, why not give us a subscribe? Maybe even give that little bell a ring so you can get notifications. And give us a thumbs up while you're at it. And even better, the most important thing, drop us a comment. I'm not the best at replying, but it's always nice to hear your opinions and see what people have to say about the whiskies we're trying here today on Drinking Out Loud. All right, see you on the next one.
Find your way.